The government of Canada has just rolled out their new registered account called the FHSA, First Home Savings Account. And if you're looking to buy a home in the next 5 years, you're going to want to watch this video because not setting up one of these accounts now could affect your ability to actually utilize this program in the future. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Demetres Giannitsos with eXp Realty. I'm a real estate agent here in the city of Toronto, and me and my team have helped a lot of first-time homebuyers get in the market over the past few years, which is why I wanted to make this video. But if you have any questions about what I'm about to go over or the home buying process in general, I've left a link down in the description below where you can actually book a free one-on-one buyer consultation with myself, and we can dive into what you got going on and make sure that you're on the right path to getting into that property. Okay, so last year I did a very similar video where I went over every single first-time homebuyer incentive that's available for Ontarians, and I had a bunch of people reach out, ask questions, and it seems like you guys got a lot of value from it. So I want to make sure I give you guys all the information you need about this program, as it's a new one that is available for first-time homebuyers moving forward. So what is an FHSA? It is a registered government account that allows you to save money tax-free that you can then use towards a down payment for your first home. Very similar to an RRSP, where you can make annual contributions every single year, and those contributions are actually deducted off of your income tax at the end of the year. So it's basically a tax-free savings account that you can use towards putting for a down payment on your very first home. In a practical example, let's say you make $60,000 a year and you decide to contribute $8,000 to your FSHA, which is also the annual limit that you're allowed to contribute to it every single year. Okay, so you would normally get taxed on the $60,000, but because you made the contribution, the $8,000 gets deducted off of your total income tax. So now you're only getting taxed on the $52,000, while the $8,000 that you've contributed gets to sit tax-free until you're ready to buy your first home. And I know what you're thinking. If you watch my last video on all the first-time homebuyer incentives that are available, you're saying, hey, this sounds a lot like the homebuyer plan, where you can actually contribute up to $35,000 of your RRSPs towards, a down payment on a house. The biggest difference is with the homebuyer plan, you have to repay your RRSPs within 15 years. And with this one, you do not have to repay it at all. And if you didn't watch the video I did on all the first-time homebuyer incentives, I'll leave the link to that in the description below, and you can watch it after you're done watching this one. You are going to want to watch this one first, just because this one's a little bit more time sensitive, and I'll explain what I mean a little bit later on. But now let's get into who qualifies for this account. So you need to be at least 18 years old. You need to be a Canadian resident. The property that you are buying has to be for your primary residence. It cannot be for an investment property or an income property. And then finally, you cannot have owned a home that you've lived in for the last 4 years. So if you actually used to own a home that you lived in, say 5 years ago or more, you could actually re-qualify for this program. Also, it's important to note that there is carryover when it comes to the contribution limit. So what I mean by that is, let's say in your first year, you're not able to make that full $8,000 contribution. Well, the $3,000 that you have left actually carries over to the following year. So the next year, you could actually make an $11,000 contribution if you want. And that's why I'm saying that this is actually kind of time sensitive, because if you plan on buying a home in the next 5 years or so, you're going to want to open this account up right now, even if you can't make that full $8,000 contribution, because in the next year, you might be in a position where you can then fill that gap. You can also transfer money between your RRSP and your FHSA tax-free, as long as you don't go over the $8,000 contribution limit on the FHSA. And this is important because these actually work in conjunction with each other. You could actually have a scenario where you use both of these programs at the same time. The biggest thing to note is that if you do use the RRSP in the home buyer plan, then you do have to still pay that back within the 15 years. Some other important notables about the FHSA is that you actually have a 15-year window to use it. So from the time of opening the account, you have 15 years to actually use the money in order to buy a property. If you don't, any funds in that account will get transferred to your RRSP. And the other one that I thought was kind of interesting is that you can't be over 71 years old and use this incentive. So I'm not really sure why they threw the limit on 71. It seemed kind of random, but just something I figured I'd point out. Now, you're probably wondering, what are the pros and cons of using the FHSA and the home buyer plan, and which one is right for me? So let's start with the FHSA. So the pro to this is that obviously you do not have to pay the money back to the government. This is completely tax-free. Okay. The con to it is there is an $8,000 limit on how much you can contribute every single year, which means for you to use this incentive at its full potential and reach that $40,000 threshold, you are going to have to take 5 years in order to fill it up. In terms of the home buyer plan, the pro is that you can make much larger contributions and fill it up a lot quicker. But the con is that you need to repay that money back into your RRSP within 15 years. So if you're trying to figure out which incentive works best for you, I would think of it this way. If you're looking to buy your first home in the next year or two, the home buyer plan probably works better because you can make larger contributions and utilize it a lot quicker. If your plan is to buy a home, say in the future, let's say you just turned 18 or you just turned 20 and you're starting to save up for that down payment, but you're still a ways away, opening up an FHSA is a really good idea. And it's important to note that you can transfer funds between the two. So if you find yourself in a situation where you actually want to use the home buyer plan, but you've opened up your FHSA, you can actually transfer the funds from one account to the other and use it quicker. But if you have not opened up your FHSA, then you can't make those $8,000 yearly contributions. So if you try opening it up later, you may have already missed that window of opportunity, which is why I say it's important to understand which program's working for you, what your goals are, and move appropriately. Like I said earlier, if you want to watch the other video that I made about all the first-time homebuyer incentives that are available, I've left that link down in the description below, as well as a link where you can actually get in contact with myself. I hope you guys got some value from this video. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys on the next video.